Hello, and welcome to the Gothic Jungle. I'm so sorry, I forgot the skull. Anyways, hi. Welcome to my video on propagation. Today we're going to be going over 3 methods. The first one being water propagation. Here I'm just preparing some water that I want to use to put my cuttings in. So I'm just adding some water-soluble fertilizer, but this step isn't necessary. I recommend doing propagations in the growing season, so spring, summertime. Try to take your cuttings from some healthy plants, but if your plant's kind of struggling and you want to try and save it via propagation, that works too. Don't worry about it. So basically what you need for water propagation is a clear vessel. I like to use these test tube looking things so I can look at the roots pretty easy and they're compact. Some scissors, please clean them before you cut the plants. You don't want anything getting infected. Or not, I don't know if infected is the right word, but you don't want stuff to get contaminated. But our first culprit today is my purple Oxalis triangularis, and I'm just taking the scissors and cutting close to the base. I know this is a weird one to start with, but just in case anyone does have this plant, when you're taking cuttings, you pretty much just cut close to the base if it's a plant like this. But after we go over this one, we're gonna go over a more common way to do it. But basically, I'm taking those cuttings, clean cuttings. These are my 2 little things. As you can see, nothing's on them, nothing special. Cool. Anyways, so then just fill up whatever water vessel you like to use. I sometimes collect old soda bottles if they're glass. The clearness helps you kind of evaluate the roots, see if anything's going on, like if anything's rotting, or if the water turns a funky color. If that happens, if the water turns a funky color, just change out the water. And you're all set to go. So next I have this philodendron micans, who's getting very, very leggy for me. This is probably going to be closer to a more common thing that you might be propagating, maybe if you have a pothos. But again, just kind of cut between the nodes, just making sure you have a leaf in there because, plants do use their leaves to do photosynthesis. But yeah, just take those cuttings, again, clean your scissors, and just fill up your water vessel again and pop them in there. But the important thing that I want to mention about philodendron lichens, or any really kind of plant with this type of structure, is you need to submerge these little bumps on the plant. These are aerial roots, so they are where, of course I'm not doing it here because the place that I cut is too long, but that's okay. I just cut it off and fixed it. But you need to submerge those in water because that's where the roots are going to grow. And that little clipping is for later. Now, this is a spider plant. This is something different. Again, I kind of want to cover some of the funky plants here. But these things you just pinch off and put in water. So I really wanted to mention that I'm talking about water propagation. Shout out to my partner for this clip. Anyways, so once you have these in water for a little while, you have to be really, really patient. Roots do take a while to form. But you'll see some roots growing. And then when you get a bunch of them, you're good to pot it up and have it keep growing and give it the nutrients that it needs. Alright, so this is our next victim. This is my silver string of hearts, or silver glory. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. And I'm just taking some cuttings here. Again, she's getting a little spaced out, and I'd rather keep her a little more full. But also, if I could get more of these types of plants to give away to my friends, that'd be awesome. So I'm just taking some cuttings here, and we're gonna do our second method of propagation. So we are doing sphagnum moss. As you can see, I have some cuttings laid out from the philodendron micans because velvety plants do better in this type of propagation. So I just have a takeout container and then some sphagnum moss. I'll link the sphagnum moss below that I'm using, but I'm also going to link a better one that I just happen to not have that day. So basically, just wet the sphagnum moss and then wring it a little bit so it's not soaking wet, but it's pretty wet. I added a bit of perlite too, so if you just happen to have that, great. If you don't worry, you'll be okay. And then basically I'm just separating them and putting them into the sphagnum moss. I'm putting the parts that I clipped off in there, again making sure to submerge the aerial roots of plants similar to the philodendron micans, and then just cover it. High humidity really helps plants grow when they're in a vulnerable state, so that's why this one is a really popular method of propagation. And for our third and final method, we're going to be doing separation. This is an old, I believe it's a curly jade plant, but as you can see, she's got a little baby right here that's sprouted up. You can see it's distinctively separate from the mother plant because those two stems are connected at the bottom, but the baby is very much separated. So basically for these guys, all you do is just kind of try your best to get it out. Again, like I said, this is a really old plant. I don't think I've ever repotted this before, so it's it's a little rough out there. Basically, just get it close down to the stem as you can. Pull out the roots. It might be a little better to take out the whole plant and then just kind of separate a little more gently than what I did. But, you know, just try and get off some of that old soil, make sure the roots are still there, pretty healthy. I'm trying to show them to you, but that's not helpful, like, at all. And then just pot it up, like you would any other plant that needs to be repotted. Just give it some water, you know, some adequate light. Please do not put your plants in direct light unless they're like cactuses or anything like that. They'll burn. Don't do that with babies. But like I said, with succulents, I think, yeah, because this one's technically a succulent, so I guess you could give it a stronger sun. You can also take these little leaves that fall off because they're so sturdy, just let them callus over maybe like a day or two, and stick them into some soil. I also want to mention some alocasias. I can't show you this type of propagation today, or bulb propagation, I don't know if it's technical propagation. You just take some corms from under the soil, and you can put them in water, and they'll grow roots and leaves that way. Anyways, I hope this was helpful, kind of going over some methods of propagation, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Bye!